Hi guys, Brett here from Hearns Hobbies, and today I'd like to take a look at and perform a little bit of race day maintenance. This will be aimed mainly at spec racing. So I've got here a Kyosho phaser, but that can also apply for your TTO, Tamiya TTO series racing, Tamiya trucks, that sort of stuff. So it's not going to be full prep, but people always ask me, Brett, what do you do to your car when it comes off the track before you get ready for the next one? So I'm going to run you through a few things that I do, and hopefully this helps you out. So you've just come in from your run, you've marshaled, then you come back. The first thing that I do is take the body off the car and have a quick look over for any damage. Now you'll know from the race that you had, was it a rough race? Did you get hit in any way, shape or form? So was the car driving okay at the end of the race? So the basic premise for all that was it was a good race, the car went well, and I didn't have any major incidences. So I'll have a look here and can see here we've got a bit of tire fuzz inside the body. That's fine. Give the body a quick check over, make sure there's no big cracks or scratches or anything that's going to really collapse in the next race. Quick check over the wing. That will be good to go. So we'll put the body aside and we'll have a look at the car. Now usually obviously the battery will be plugged in, so unplug the battery and we'll get the battery out. So I won't put this battery on charge straight away because that will need to cool down. So your batteries realistically depends on the temperature and what you're racing and stuff like that, but these ones here I'll usually cycle 2 batteries per car per day. So that's a 9-step lipo. So I'll put that one to the side. I've got my charger over here, my trusty this is a trusty Sky Race D260, and we'll go ahead and then I'll put the battery for the next race on charge that's been resting. So this one here. Now usually all my batteries, you notice, I'll have numbered, and that's just so I know in my head what's going on, because the last thing you want to end up doing is putting a flat battery in your car or just using the one battery, especially if it's really hot. So I'll go ahead and then I'll put this one on charge straight away. Now these batteries here in particular, I mean, you'll get to know it, but it will take about 20 minutes to charge, so that will be fine. So go ahead, get that one charging. Okay, and have a quick check here. Yeah, everything is working fine. We're at 87% fuel cell, no worries at all. So that'll be charged soon. Now the very next thing I do is I'll give the car a quick dust off, and for that I've got just the Aromax cleaning brush here. I'm not one that really likes to use a lot of compressed air on my car. I think it does more damage than good. I will sometimes use it if it's really dirty, but generally I don't use compressed air because I think it just blows stuff into your shocks and into your bearings. And there's nothing wrong with just taking a little bit of time and care to just give it a physical brush over. And it also allows you to see if anything is dislodged, loose, not where it should be, that sort of stuff. When you blow over, it can just damage your bearings. So we'll pretend that we've done that. While I'm doing that, I'll also be looking at things like the shocks, making sure that there's no like wetness or there's no damage, making sure they're still operating smooth, the suspension, like so. I'll give the drivetrain a turnover, make sure that it's not making any untoward sounds. Like I said, I know for a fact that it was fine when it was last out on track, so it wasn't veering to the left or the right. Now I'm just giving these wheels a good dust off because I'm going to do something that is really important in on-road, and that is check my tires. So now, like I said, this is aimed at spec racing, so I won't be going into tire prep or gooping or sanding or anything like that, because it's just not necessary, and I know that it's sort of not what this is about. Okay, so I've got my trusty 9 steps little toolkit here, everything I need. So what I'm going to do now is get the wheels off, and I'll go around, and the reason I like to do that is A, to make sure I know they're tight before next race, and B, check the gluing. These high performance tires, it's really important that you check the condition of the gluing. Now you'll notice I haven't spun the car around or anything, and I'm going to go ahead now and label the tires if they aren't already. So this one here is actually, I've already labeled this one. So this is tire number 2. This one on this side is tire number 4. Now the reason that I label them is so I know where they've gone off and come on the same position. Now these ones here are treaded, so you can see the tread on the tire. It's a little bit different than slicks, but with slicks you don't know exactly where they've come off and gone back on. So I know that the car will handle the way that I expect it to by putting the tires on in the relevant positions. So, and I always start with number 1 being the driver's side. It's the easiest way to remember, or right hand front. Number 2, left hand front, and same with the rear. And that way I know which way to put the tires back on, and if I rotate them, in which way to rotate them. Okay, so the wheels are off the car. I'll put the car out of the way for a minute and we'll get in nice and close on the camera if I can. What I'm looking for here is in the gluing of the tire. So what I'm going to do is forcefully pull the tire off the wheel and see if it comes off even just a little bit. And I can see here that this one is not, and it's perfectly fine all the way around. So I don't need to take any action. Actually, right about here, there seems to be a bit of a weak spot, probably where I've had an accident. So we'll go around, we'll check this one, and this one here is a perfect example of what I'm looking for. A little bit of tearing just here. Again, probably where I've been climbing all over the curbs. Now what that will do is give the car an inconsistent feel on track and make it not feel very direct in the steering, and can give inconsistent handling. And it doesn't matter whether it's a spec race or a high performance on-roader, you want to make sure that you give yourself a really good chance and look after your tires. So what I'll do now is I've got some super glue here. I'm just going to re-glue them. So I've gone over, make sure that there's no debris, and it's as simple as peeling the tire back and just putting the smallest amount. And that is a very specific CA, this one. This is a super thin, this is the thinnest one of ultra thin. Commonly referred to as tire glue, but yeah, that's what we use. Ultra thin super glue, or CA. So, and we'll just work our way around. It's really, really good to make sure you use as little as possible, and make sure that if it's juniors doing it, they're very well supervised, because super glue or CA is very, very dangerous. You can glue just about anything to anything and does it really quickly. So you always want to have rag handy, and it wouldn't be the first time I've glued. I'm just going to get the camera out a bit so I can show you guys more. It wouldn't be the first time that I've glued myself to a tire. So I'm just working my way around, and I'll do this on all 4 wheels. And the reason I do this step first is to make sure that I give the super glue the maximum amount to dry and cure before I go again. So I don't like to use an accelerant or a kicker or anything like that to boost the super glue along, and I want to leave that for a good 10 or 20 minutes. Leave that there. We've got a nice consistent bead all the way through. I'll get in really tight on that so you can see. We've got a really nice consistent bead all the way around there. Really happy with that. Okay, so I'll go ahead and we'll do the other 3. Okay, so that is the tyres glued. We'll go ahead now and we'll set these ones to the side like so, and we'll give the rest of the car a bit of a check over. So things that I'm going to look for on this chassis, I'm going to just put this super glue away. It's important to give the nozzle a really good wipe and clean. Put that one away. Keep that out of the reach of any juniors. Okay, so I'm going to continue now to dust off around the wheel area, making sure that everything is nice. And then I'm just going to, like I said before, I'm just going to put the suspension through its movement, make sure nothing is loose or wobbly or anything untowards. So far we are looking really, really good. And I've got no reason for it. Like I said, I know that the car was good when it was last on the track. Fantastic. Now I'm going to take my 2mm driver and I'm going to check over a few of the critical components. Here we go. Got my trusty 2mm driver and I'm going to just go over some of the various chassis screws. And what I'll do, instead of just cranking it down tighter, I'll actually back it off a little bit and tighten it. Just ensuring that I'm not over tightening and stripping and making sure that everything is in fact tight. You can hear it does that little popping sound, letting me know that it is in fact tight. If I just went ahead and just did it up tighter, I run the risk of stretching and damaging the threads into the plastic, causing it to be stripped. Shock tower. One part that's critical is where the damper unit, the shock absorber, goes into the arm. Looking really nice. Like I said, just half a turn out and then retighten it. I'm just using my fingers on the tool, not really using the palm of my hand. Nothing on these cars really needs to be done up exceptionally tight. And I don't want to damage the thread to make sure that I can keep working on it. I'll check a few of the screws underneath, particularly the servo here. All feels really nice. The bumper bar, because I probably hit a couple of things. And the rear guard, in case I got hit. Looking good. Fantastic. So I'm really, really happy with that. So the next thing that I'll do before I go any further is put the wheels back on. And I know which way they came off because they were numbered. So I know I've got my odds on this, my evens on this side here. So I've got 4 at the back and 2 at the front and 1 and 3 on that side. Get my 2.5mm driver and I'll go ahead and reattach the wheels. Now of course you want to be making sure before you handle the tires of the wheels that the super glue is in fact dry, which I've done so here. Again, double checking. 3 is going on the rear. And wheels, again, don't need to be done up really, really tight. You notice I haven't used an electric screwdriver. Yeah, I like to do everything by hand if I can. And these car stands make your life a lot easier. Go ahead and put this wheel on, tighten it up. Fantastic. We are looking good. Now I'll come back over to the battery charger, and this one here is not full, but it's nearly full. For the sake of this video, we'll say that it's finished. The battery is charged. With a charged battery, I will put it straight into the car, and that saves it being left on the bench, accidentally putting in the flat battery. And we are ready to go. Fasten it up. And this car here has a switch, so I can in fact plug the battery in, and that way I know that the car is ready to go. All I have to do is pick up the, poke in a little wire here. There we go. And there we have it. That is a bit of simple maintenance of getting the car prepped and ready. A couple of things I check. Again, when I put my battery in, I make sure that the wires can't rub the drive shaft or anything. And I'll go ahead, I can access the on-off switch with the body on. So I'll go ahead and I'll put the body and the clips on. And then 5 minutes before my race, I'll grab my car, my transmitter, and I'll head to pit lane. And that was a couple of simple things that I do in between races. Didn't really take much time, but the main thing I suppose is just the dusting off and the retightening. It's nice to have a bit of pride in your car itself. Make sure that nothing's coming loose, and like I said, double checking your tires. And that didn't go through the routine of sanding them, buffing them, or putting tire goop on, because this is a spec class where in fact these things are not allowed locally. So I'm Brett from Hearns, and thanks for watching me do a bit of race day preparation.